What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football, sis. We are so freaking excited. Episode 1 was so much freaking fun. The support from you guys, holy shit. Thank you so freaking much. And we are so excited to jump into episode 2. We're not going to fuss around with too much intro. You guys already know us, right? I'm Amanda.
I'm Angela.
And of course, we're your hosts of Let's Talk Football, sis, fantasy football for the girls, by the girls. And today we are talking all things draft strategy. We want to have you walking into your fantasy football draft feeling confident, prepared, and ultimately not feeling like a big old fucking newbie, okay? Because nothing's worse than making a decision early in your draft that everyone's like, I'm beating her whenever I play her, right? We don't need any of that fucking energy, okay? We want to walk into the draft day with everyone underestimating us and walk out of draft day with everyone's jaws on the fucking floor, okay? That's what we're going to talk about today to get you so freaking prepared so we can walk you through just a simple draft structure. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff you guys need to know, obviously from understanding your league scoring rules and then breaking down some really key terms here as well. We're going to go over key terms like ADP, sleepers, handcuffs. We'll explain all of that here in a second.
Yeah, and then we're going to walk you through just a simple draft structure. So we're going to keep it pretty simple today. And then in further episodes, we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit more so that you're really ready for that draft. So you know exactly who to target and things like that. And then you want to make sure that you're always balancing your risk and reward with your team so that you can really finish solid throughout the season. So we're going to talk all about that kind of stuff. We're going to share some insider tips, so our insider tips on draft day mindset, and then really teach you how to stay cool on draft day and really know what to do if one of your picks gets snagged, which is probably inevitably going to happen. And then just have a damn good time having your draft because it's such a freaking blast. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed, if you've ever felt lost on draft day, don't worry. That is why we were here. This is like your blueprint episode for everything fantasy football draft for the 2025 season.
Absolutely. We want to keep you cool, calm, cool, and collected as you walk into that draft day and just understanding, again, how to walk in confidently. So let's go over draft strategy 101. Again, like we had talked about, I want to go over some basics. Obviously, understanding your league setup. You want to understand the points of how your league scores. So a couple different structures we can look at. PPR, that is the most common. It stands for points per reception. There are some standard leagues out there. If your league is standard, you just want to know that before you walk in. They're not super common anymore. The only other, let's say, most common is a half point PPR. Some are set up like that. That's just going to impact your draft strategy. So understand your scoring first and foremost. And then secondly, understand how many players are in your league because that's going to affect how you go in, like what your strategy looks like. If you're going into a 10-team league, understand that there's just going to be more players available throughout the entire draft. If you're in a 12-team league, shit's going to get a little bit more sticky. If you're in something greater than a 12-team league, holy shit balls, buckle in. Keep picking from the bottom of the fucking trash can by the time you get down that draft board.
Do not know how people do that because I did a couple mock drafts yesterday and I think our league is still, just so you know, still set up as a 10 and we're going to bump it to 12. But I could not imagine being in where I was with like 16 teams. I would be panicking, picking people that I had to like do some serious research on. So it's overwhelming.
100%. It is. It's crazy to think about, but you want to understand that. And then same thing goes for if your league is smaller. There are some 8-team leagues out there. Again, you're just going to have a lot more availability and a lot more flexibility to pick guys higher on the ADP. And we're going to talk about what that means now. So some terms you need to know.
Yeah. So first up is that ADP. Like she just said, it's basically your average draft position. So it's like a master list and it's basically telling people where people are taking that player in the draft, right? So who's going to be number one all the way, down the list. So if the ADP says that he's at a 50, and it's funny because we were just talking about DK Metcalf being at 50, right? He'll probably be gone by pick 45 or 55 in your draft. So pretty much that simple. Higher the ADP, higher the players getting picked.
Yeah. I always say ADP is kind of like peer pressure in number form, right? True. So it's like kind of peer pressuring you to pick it, but like keep in mind, you never have to fully follow the ADP, but use it as a guide tool. Specifically, if you're new to a draft, it's going to help prevent you from doing something silly. Okay. I've seen people do crazy shit.
Yes. I love a good cheat sheet. So like use it like a cheat sheet because 100%. If I don't have that handy, I'm going to be a little bit panicked and it's going to help me stay calm and kind of comfortable throughout it. So
Yeah.
use it.
And for those watching on YouTube right now, you can see I just put up on the screen an example of what the ADP will look like when you're actually in the draft. That way you can understand what I mean when I say ADP, but you'll see it on your draft board and it'll just recommend the next player that you pick based on that ADP or average draft position.
Yeah.
Next term is sleeper. Sleeper, you're going to hear people say, he's my sleeper pick for this year. All that means is it's a player who you draft late who you think could break out. It's someone who you have good high hopes for, someone who either people aren't talking about a ton or we just aren't sure. Maybe they're a rookie, they're coming off injury, or you're hoping for like a second season breakout from them. So that is what sleeper means.
Yeah. And then the next term, and this one's kind of a new one, even for me. I kind of getting a little bit more comfortable with understanding it, but it means is handcuff. So it's like your backup to your star running back. So it's sort of like your insurance policy. So let's say you pick a star running back. He is number one running back on your team, and then injury happens because it's might happen, especially with some of these running backs who are getting up in age and who are injury prone. So having a handcuff is like having a backup plan. So you're drafting the running back too. So in case something were to happen, then they can jump in. Or if they're kind of trading off the workload, that person's also getting your points. So like an insurance policy.
Yep. Nailed it. Love it. And then waiver wire. So waiver wire is basically the pool of players who did not get picked on draft day or who didn't get picked while you're actually playing during the season as well. There's always going to be a waiver wire list of players who are not actively on anyone's roster. We will get into explaining waiver wire deeper. You don't really need to know too much about waiver wire until you're actually in season.
Yeah, it's a place that I live a lot during the season, and I love to just check who's available. So make sure you're aware of that. And then the next term would be stack. So a stack means drafting a quarterback and a wide receiver from the same team. So basically you're going to get double the points. So they're both performing, at an elite level, you're going to get double the points. You pick up Joe Burrow, you pick up Jamar Chase, boom, they're going to make connections and you're going to score big time. So something to think about to maybe stack on your team, the quarterback and the wide receiver from the same team.
Yeah, that would be a absolutely baller freaking stack. Okay.
It would be, yeah.
You have to give up a lot of draft capital to get that stack, but
I live in a fantasy world right now. So we're going to say, let's dream big that
manifest
Joe Burrow,
that
Jamar
bullshit
Chase
right
on
into
my
reality,
team.
right?
Hell yeah.
All right, last term we're going to talk over is streaming. You might hear someone say, I'm streaming my quarterback, I'm streaming my tight end, in my opinion, or my defense. Those are probably like the three positions you're really only going to talk about streaming with. It just means that you might be changing that player throughout the season based on favorable matchup. So let's say I'm in my draft and I get a quarterback at the later part of my draft who I thought was going to do really good. Maybe I take a shot on Bryce Young because I might think he's going to bust out. He looks really good in his preseason game. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm like, I have high hopes for him. I'm really confident. Well, maybe halfway through the season, he's just proving to be a fucking dud. Right. And I'm like, this is not it. It's not worth it. And so I might now start to either look at targeting another quarterback, but if I can't find someone who's worth keeping on my roster full time, right, he's not worthy of a full-time position, I could stream my quarterbacks in and out based on who they're playing. As you get deeper into the season, again, we'll talk about this more later, but you're going to notice that there is just some like very bad defenses, right? We can take like Cincinnati as an example. Their defense is booty hole.
Yes.
And like any offense is going to thrive against them. So if I'm like, you know what, my quarterback's been sucking and I see so-and-so's playing the Bengals this week, give me him. I'll pick him up. I'll take a risk it for the biscuit situation because the ceiling's higher. I could get more points on it, right? So streaming, you might be doing that. But again, the really only three positions I tend to see people stream with is their quarterback, their tight end, and their defense. I love streaming my defense later in the season.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the terms you need to know. Keep those in mind just so you feel prepared and you're not like, you can feel like someone's talking a different language if you don't know the terminology behind fantasy football, right?
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to talk
here. Break it down for you. Make it a little simpler.
As simple as possible anyways. Now, simple draft structure. So I want to keep this, again, a little basic because I just want you to feel confident of what positions to pick when. We will go over player nuance next week. We'll probably sprinkle a little bit in here because we have no chill. But I just want you to know what positions to pick when. So let's start top of the draft, rounds 1 and rounds 2. You are picking elite running backs and elite wide receivers. Just pick those players. You might get tempted to pick another player. You might get tempted because someone else does something stupid and picks another player. Don't get baited in your draft. Okay. People love to
Exactly.
bait you. They're like, oh, if I pick a quarterback, then that girl will pick a quarterback now. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, running backs in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. We don't play by everyone else's rules here. So let's do your own thing, get those big elite players. And then when you move into rounds 3 or 5, you can start kind of mixing it up a little bit. So mix in more wide receivers, mix in more running backs, possibly, if it's possible, an elite tight end. And we would really only suggest, if one falls to you, picking up someone like Brock Bowers or Trey McBride. I think we had a little debate before we started recording that George Kittle might be in that debate and in that tight end kind of game. But if you're not available, or those 2 or 3 aren't available, then we would probably wait until rounds 6 to rounds 9 to snag one of those tight ends. But again, rounds 3 to 5, make sure you're grabbing more running backs, grabbing more wide receivers to really strengthen your team. You want those reliable players right off the bat in those first couple rounds. It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say too, like, while I would love a Brock Bowers or a Trey McBride or even a George Kittle, right? I said, for me, I think Brock Bowers and Trey McBride are going to go so early where they're going to go second, third round of your draft. To me, I'm probably just not going to trade the draft capital for it. I would rather take a wide receiver or a running back just because those are going to be my more reliable cash cows from a point standpoint. Brock Bowers and Trey McBride are going to score big. I'm just not willing to trade that for them. Maybe I might do it in one of my leagues, right? But probably not. And after you get down that draft board for tight ends, they're all going to be very similar, except I agree. I think George Kittle is going to do well. I just wouldn't take him till like round 5 personally. If he falls to me, then come on my team, baby.
I like to go that little risky route, and I trust my gut. Like, don't be afraid to trust your gut. Yes. I do all the time. My couple mock drafts I've done, trusted my gut, seemed to work pretty good for me. So I'm probably going to go into the real thing trusting that old gut.
Absolutely. I love it. Now, quarterback strategy as a conversation in this, because we're talking rounds 3 to 5 here, quarterback strategy does still come into play. In my opinion, unless it's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, I'm waiting to pick a quarterback until round 6 to 9.
See, I would put Jalen Hurts and Daniels in there too. I would put those. They're kind of dual threats. Yeah. I would put them. I would keep them up in my top of my top 4.
Yeah, but where are you talking? You're talking what round would you be willing to?
I would say round 4. Round 4 is where I would go.
Who are you taking in round 4?
I would take Hurts if he was available.
Okay. All right.
There's the gut again.
I would not. I would probably put Daniels over Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Maybe I'm partial because I've had Hurts on my team for the last couple of years. So he's kind of been my reliable QB, but who knows? Who knows?
You know what we say? See, forget that past draft, baby, because you never fucking know.
It's always in here, though. I'm ready to make different changes, though. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I really like Jaden Daniels as well. There's some good guys who are going to go early. It's just, again, you're always considering, if I take this quarterback now, I'm missing out on wide receivers and running backs to fill my roster, which is fine. Do it if it feels good for you. But just know, I always say, when you're picking, know who you're giving up as a byproduct.
Right.
This is also when I'm drafting, I'll scroll down the draft board to say, okay, let's say I'm picking at number 4 out of a 12 team draft.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I want to pick this wide receiver now. Let me see, this quarterback's probably going to be up the board before the draft comes back to me. Let me see what quarterback's deeper down the draft board right now. And if I'm like, okay, I'm willing to skip on Jaden Daniels because I feel like Baker is going to fall to me, and I will fucking take Baker Mayfield any day.
All freaking day, yeah.
And so that's also things that you want to look at. And again, we'll get into a little bit deeper strategy there, but to keep this and kind of tie a bow on it, to keep it simple. Tight ends, if you're drafting an elite tight end in, let's say, anywhere between rounds 2 to 4, I wouldn't pick a quarterback until deeper in your draft, round 6 or later.
Okay.
Vice versa applies here as well. If you take an elite quarterback in rounds 2 to 4, I wouldn't pick a tight end until round 6 or later from there. So just think about that. If I pick that guy, boot that other pick to later in your draft. You only play one of them in most leagues. We're talking about just a standard flex league, not a super flex league. Super flex means you play 2 quarterbacks. Flex means you just get to flex a tight end, a running back, a wide receiver. That's what we talked about in our first episode. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
But simple there. Go over that last tip for just the biggest way to look like a newbie, okay? Avoid this.
Don't make your whole league just like wince when you do it. Like make a good decision, right? So make sure you are waiting and wait till the end to draft a defense and draft a kicker, right? Do not do that early. Even if you're like, I don't know, Pittsburgh's defense is so great, blah, blah, blah. Let's pick them early. No, wait. Because like Amanda said earlier, you could always stream your defense throughout the season. It's probably honestly a better bet to do that. And then the kicker, yes, is going to get you points. And I know I had Boswell last year, which was kind of a surprise at some of them. And we've talked about before too, when you wake up and your kicker won you the game. So kickers are like maybe a little bit of an unsung hero, but don't pick them till the end, right?
No.
Don't do it till the end. Just like rule of thumb, wait.
Yeah. Last 2 rounds, I usually go defense kicker. Last 2 rounds.
Same.
Don't do it before then. Even if someone else does it, I don't give a shit what they did.
No.
Stay in your lane. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last kind of tip here of just some basic balancing risk and consistency on your overall team when we're thinking draft day. So we basically want to think about pairing a high ceiling player with a risky player. So someone who's going to be your consistent workhorse. We can think about the guys that go in that first round. We're talking Saquon Barkley. We're talking Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase. Those guys are going to be consistent. Could everyone have a bad week? Yes. But they're going to be consistently getting you at least probably 10 to 12 points on their shitty week. And on their good weeks, Justin Jefferson's dropping you a 40 bob like a fucking boss, okay? But you want to balance your very reliable players with your risky players. That way then if you have someone here like, I have a good feeling about him, let's take now. I'm biased. I'm a big Ohio State fan, okay? I live in Columbus, but I love TreVeyon Henderson, and I do fully feel that halfway through the year, he will take over the New England backfield and Ramondre Stevenson will sit his ass on the sidelines more frequently. Okay. And so I'm going to say, okay, he could be potentially risky. Could something happen? Could he completely like fall apart in the NFL? Yeah. Do we hope he does? No, absolutely not. But I would take that risk later in my draft, and that will balance some of my more consistent running backs. You could do the same thing with wide receivers as well.
Right. And then you also want to kind of avoid like loading up on too many rookies. So there's some really just like high class rookies in this draft, this year. But you don't want to load up on them too early. So yes, you can have great feelings about them. Believe me, I do. But you want to make sure you're taking them, but make sure that you're kind of thinking about the structure of your roster, right? You want to have a really solid roster first in those first rounds. Then you can kind of play around with rookies and take some chances and kind of have some fun, right? And another thing we could say is like, you might want to snag some players who might be hurt currently, right? So if you have a good feeling and you have a good roster set, right? And you want to pick up Brandon Ayuk, who is injured currently, he's not going to start the season, then you might play with that because you have some higher capital later on, right? If he comes back, he could be a stud. He could be a huge point getter for you. So if you're willing to make that risk, but you have to kind of have that cushion around you, you don't want to kind of just, free ball it and shoot, I don't have anyone to kind of support my team. I'm just hoping for guys to do good or come back. So make sure you're kind of, secure in your team before you do any of that.
Absolutely. The biggest thing is like if you have too many guys either on suspension or hurt and you pick them up on draft day, you run into the issue where you just don't have enough actual reliable starting players to come out. And so you're going to take some L's in the beginning of the season. Right. Can you do that? Sure. You can still get in the playoffs. I did that one year, right? When Kamara was out and suspended, I had him on my team. I really had to play some not so great guys for a minute. I lost a lot in the early part of my season, but I crushed it on the back end and I got into the championship. So like you could do that. You just want to balance it, right? That's what we talk about more when we say balance, risk, and consistency.
And you don't have to win every single game to get into that championship. So don't think if I don't have a perfect season, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you could lose, let's say like the first straight 3 games and then still get there in the end. So, have the trust in your team, but like she said, have some cushion there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to kind of just sum it up here of some players to target, when to target them, how to go about that. Again, keeping this a little bit more basic in this episode. In our next episode, we are going to go in deep. And after next episode, you're going to leave with a very clear cheat sheet of
Right.
who we'd be picking when. That way you have the upper edge as you walk into your draft. Okay. So we're super excited. So number one, players to target early rounds. We're thinking workhorses, elite wide receivers. That's going to be who you're targeting in your early rounds of your draft.
Exactly. So players like Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey. Now, we could talk about Christian McCaffrey for a while because last year he was what? Number one pick.
Yeah.
And
I
number
picked
one
him.
pick.
Number one.
Yep. For the past couple years has had a curse. I think it's a curse. I call it a curse.
Oh, it is. It's the curse.
So you kind of have to think, where am I going to pick him? How reliable might he be? He's getting older. He's prone to injury. So that's a risk you might want to take because it could pay off. But
yeah, I think,
see what happens.
Guys, I think he's going to have a baller ass season. He's coming off of a year of fucking rest.
Yeah.
Homie is really motivated, just had a baby. I think he's fucking in it to win it and he's going to come out. I want him. I want him this year. I'll take the shot again. So I love it. All right, mid-rounds.
Steal him from her.
Right, there you go. So we're giving away all our strategy. You can take it. I don't care. Anyways, mid-rounds, we're looking at reliable wide receiver twos. Some guys who are really consistent, like let's say Devontae Smith. He is a reliable wide receiver two. He's consistent. He's not always going to be the highest point scorer, but he is always going to get targets in that offense. So in the middle of that draft, we're looking at reliable wide receiver twos or guys who are on a new team who might just not be, we're not sure yet. We talked about DK Metcalf already.
Yeah, right.
We are huge Steeler fans, okay? We grew up in a very, very aggressively Steeler home, okay?
Yeah.
Our aunt
you have
is
no idea how aggressive it was.
Our aunt is so aggressive Steelers fans. It's actually alarming, but we love it, okay?
Yes.
But I want to say I've always been very hesitant to take players on the Steelers offense because fuck, their offense is hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I'm fucking worried about DK Metcalf. Did I see Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams connect really well later in the season last year? Yes. Do I think he could do the same with DK because DK is that fucking guy? Yeah. But he's going to slip. He's at ADP 50. So like, we don't know. We'll see how it goes. But guys like that, guys like Zay Flowers, Xavier Worthy, those are all guys that are people to keep your Jameson Williams, all guys to keep your eye on for reliable wide receivers too, who are going to be consistent for you.
Right. And then you might want to start sort of looking at those running backs and timeshares. So it's basically is similar kind of to a handcuff, right? Where you're picking a running back who's typically the number one. He's favored to start. He's a solid running back for their team. But they have a number two that is also going to take some of that workload. So they're going to share the workload, meaning you're just going to get kind of more points and you kind of have that cushion or that little bit of a, like you said, handcuff helping your team. So in case a player gets hurt, in case a player is out halfway through the season, that other player is going to jump in and then you're set. Your team, it doesn't suffer at all. So
yeah, absolutely. Good running back timeshares. I like Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. So on the Vikings, Aaron Jones is older. You can only get hit so many times and before it starts to hurt. So I think that would be a good one where I like Jordan Mason later in my draft, pick him up. And if for some reason Aaron Jones gets hurt, or I have a feeling Jordan Mason will take over that backfield at some point. So just something to keep your eye on there.
There are a lot of older running backs that are in the league that are starters that I would probably think about that kind of that strategy. Pick 100%. Up their backup or make sure just in case injuries and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah. Last one in that mid round is just those quarterbacks, right? So of course, if a top quarterback falls and the value drops, meaning they were supposed to go as the average draft position, 20, and you're picking at 35 and they're still there. Yeah, you take them in the mid rounds for sure. If somebody falls to you, take it. Okay. But essentially we want to think about picking those quarterbacks in the middle rounds, just later middle rounds. And then last but not least, Ange, kick off kind of who you're picking in the late rounds.
Yeah. So late rounds is when you can pick some of those high upside rookies. You can pick up backup running backs. They might become starters in the end. Like we said, like handcuffing, timeshare, things like that. So that's when I'm going to pick up those players. I'm going to take a little bit more of the chances instead of picking them early on and really having some uncertainty. You want to pick the more reliable guys in the beginning, make those kind of risky moves, which love doing that at the end in those late rounds. So that's when they're more available,
Yeah. And again, we'll have kind of some really nice late round rookie picks to keep your eye on that you
There's some good
picking might
ones.
have people be like, oh, she knows what the fuck she's doing. Yeah, because you listen to us. Of course you do. So we'll go over that. Again, I always say when I'm walking into my draft day, I want to have kind of a list of different players I'm willing to pick in different spots on my draft, just so I feel prepared, right? So like, hey, in rounds 1 to 5, here are the players that I'm looking at. Here are the players I'm willing to take. Here are the players I'm willing to quote unquote reach for, AKA I'm picking at a spot and maybe I'm drafting, as 20 and they're listed at 30, but like, it's not going to come back to me. I want them. I'll take them. That's what we mean by reach. So I have a list of that just so I feel prepared when I walk into that draft. I think that's part of the draft day mindset is just having a cheat sheet, having structure of who you're willing to take so you aren't forced into making a decision out of pure urgency. Because usually those choices aren't always the best. I've done it and I'm like, oh shit. One year I picked Jerry Jeudy and motherfucker, he did nothing for me. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. And as you go through and you're in those later picks, you don't have to rely on that ADP. You don't have to look at that. That's when like your gut can come in. That's when you just have a feeling about a player. Just do it. So yes, use the sheet, but don't be afraid to kind of deviate from your original plan because you might be surprised. There's going to be breakouts. There's going to be people who are going to do way better than they were projected to. It's just an inevitable football fact.
For sure. For sure. And then the best tips here to go in with a solid mindset, right? Go in with a game plan, be freaking flexible. We've said that a million times, but do it. Don't panic if someone steals your pick, right?
Yeah, it's not a big deal if that happens. And you want to have fun, right?
Yes.
You want to make sure you have fun. That's my number one goal when I play fantasy football. Yes, I want to freaking win and I want to take home that trophy at the end of the year, but I want to have a good time doing it. And it is so much fun. The league we play in is a blast. And we, want to make sure you're confident going into draft day, having fun because you're just going to simply draft better. It's going to be a better day for you.
Yeah, I'm like cracking a beer. I'm enjoying myself, right? Like that, it's happening. I love it. It's supposed to be a good time. Let it be a good time. Yes.
Make it a
and
vibe.
people are gonna shit on you for your picks. I got shit on so bad for some of my picks last year, and I play in a league with my husband, and he was like, "I hate your team." And guess who kicked his ass when I played him when we were matched up? Me, because I was like, you can hate my team all you want, baby.
Yeah. You know how many times Amanda's mentioned like, well, why did you like drop that guy and pick that guy up? And I say, just let it go. Let it go. Let it buff out. It'll work. It'll work. And usually it does.
It does. I'm always like, why the fuck do you play him?
And it's the best when we happen to be together for that game and we can like kind of see the reaction live in person of like, see, I told you, guess what? It worked. So it's even more fun.
Love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, that is your draft strategy 101. We're now, hopefully, you're more prepared walking into that draft day tip. But if you still feel a little bit nervous, if you go below to the show notes, I included a draft day cheat sheet. Essentially, not the nuance of the players. We'll bring that out next week, but this is just going to be what players to pick during what rounds. So you have an easy cheat sheet. Print that shit out. Okay. Print it out, have it next to you. That way, you know who to pick, what players and what positions to pick during the rounds of the draft. So easy cheat sheet for you to download, have on your phone, print out, have next to you, whatever it looks like. I feel like when I say print out, everyone knows I'm a millennial now because
I was just going to say,
printers anymore?
Do people print? Because I tried to print something earlier and my printer didn't even work. So I'm like, well, I guess I just have to use my phone. I mean,
I know.
I love a paper copy. I am a paper copy. I made physical notes. Amanda laughed at me, said you have to put them on a Google Doc, whatever. But I'm just a like physical in my hand human. Like I'm holding this pencil because it's like helping me. But
I get it. So draft day cheat sheet is live in the show notes. So check that out. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It helps us a ton. We appreciate it. Share this shit on social media and tag us at Let's Talk Football Sis. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube. But before we wrap, we have to announce the 2 winners who are joining our fantasy football league this year. I am so fucking stoked to do this. 2 of you get to play right alongside of us and have a hell of a good time while we do it. So our winners, a little drum roll. Okay, cool. Our winners are Melanie Cochran, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Melanie Cochran, you are winner number 1, baby.
Got that one.
Let's go. And then number 2, Maddie Boucher. And again, Maddie, I'm probably just mispronounced your last name, but what the fuck is up, Maddie? Let's play fantasy football. So you two are joining us. I will message you on social media. You will get a message from at Let's Talk Football Sis on either Instagram or TikTok. I will connect with you, get you guys in the league, and we will get started. So draft day is coming up soon. Next week, though, just as a little teaser here, we are talking who to pick, players to pick as our top wide receivers, running backs through all of the rounds. We are so stoked to bring that to you. So make sure you subscribe so you get the notification for when we come back up. And thanks for joining us, guys. And we cannot wait to bring you back next week.
We cannot wait till next week. See you guys.
See you guys.